Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the most amazing processes you'll ever see, how a little kid learns to talk, read, and write. We're breaking down a guide from the California Department of Education to see just how preschoolers build these skills that, honestly, change everything.
And this quote right here, it nails the entire mission. The real goal isn't just knowing letters. It's about that incredible moment when kids shift from learning to read to reading to learn about anything and everything. That leap is an absolute game changer for their whole life.
So, how in the world does that happen? It's definitely not just about singing the alphabet song. Let's really get into it and see how this amazing foundation gets built, right from the very beginning.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the stakes here. Why are these first few years so unbelievably important for a child's future?
Because early language skills, they're not just one subject. They are the bedrock for absolutely everything else. We're talking social skills, how to solve problems, just understanding the world around them. It all starts right here. These are the building blocks for a lifetime of learning and connecting with other people.
Now, what's really important to get is that this journey is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The path looks different for every single kid. And you know what? That diversity is a massive strength.
And just look at this number. This is pretty incredible. In California, almost 60% of young kids are growing up in homes where they're hearing languages other than English. This isn't some small exception. This is the reality for the majority of children. And that means we really have to think about language development in a much bigger, more inclusive way. So the guide lays out two paths that actually work together. Over on the left, you've got foundational language development. This is for every kid, and it's all about building skills in whatever language they speak. It's tracked by their age. Then on the right, you have English language development, which is tailored for our multilingual learners. And this one isn't based on age, but on their proficiency. It's a really smart way to honor a child's home language while also giving them great support on their journey with English.
And this brings us to this really cool and powerful idea called translanguaging. This isn't about kids getting confused. It's about them using every single tool in their linguistic toolbox. So when a kid mixes some Spanish words into an English sentence, they're not making a mistake. They're actually using their entire brain to get their point across, which is an amazing sign of mental flexibility. It is a totally natural and, frankly, brilliant way to learn. So we've talked about the why and the who. Now let's get into the what. These skills are broken down into 4 main areas, or, you guessed it, building blocks. These 4 strands pretty much cover the whole shebang. You've got listening and speaking, which is all about conversation. Then there are foundational literacy skills. Think of these as the nuts and bolts, sounds and letters. Reading is where kids start to fall in love with stories. And writing, well, that's everything from figuring out how to hold a crayon to getting their first big ideas down on paper. Okay, so now that we have those 4 blocks, let's zoom in on the first 2, listening and speaking and foundational literacy. We're going to look at some real-world examples of how kids start to figure out sounds, words, and just talking. Just look at how storytelling evolves. A younger preschooler might tell you about Cinderella, right? And they'll just list a few things that happened. But give it a year, and that same kid can tell you the whole story with a real plot. You get a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's a huge leap in how they organize their thoughts and words. And learning sounds, what we call phonological awareness, it all starts with play. At first, a kid might just notice that bear and bird kind of sound the same at the start. That's matching. Then, the next step is being able to isolate that sound and say, hey, bear starts with the B sound. This is literally their brains starting to take language apart to see how it works. All right, let's move on to the last 2 building blocks, reading and writing. This is where all those story times and all those scribbles really start to connect. So at first, when a kid tries to write, it's not really about getting the letters right. It's all about the meaning. Those circles and lines, they aren't just random scribbles. For that child, they represent a huge idea. This is me. This is my name. And then, a little while later, you see this. The marks start to look like actual letters. Yeah, they might be backwards, some might be missing, but who cares? That's not the point. The point is the child now gets that specific shapes mean specific sounds and ideas. That is a massive jump in their thinking. And you see the exact same kind of growth with understanding stories. A younger preschooler might tell you a story back, but all the events are mixed up. But as they get older, they can remember the characters, the sequence, the plot with way more accuracy. It's like their brain's internal filing system for stories just got a major upgrade. Okay, this is all really fascinating stuff, but what does it mean for us? For the parents, the teachers, any adult who cares about a kid? How can we actually support this incredible process?
Well, the best part is that this isn't about drills or flashcards. It's about weaving all this into everyday life. Just talk with kids, ask them real questions, surround them with books and words, sing songs, play rhyming games. And this is so important, celebrate their home language. The most powerful tools we have are the ones that are playful and full of joy. So, that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. How might you start to see the world a little differently if you began looking for these building blocks in every single song, every story, every scribble? The big takeaway here is that language isn't some formal lesson. It's a whole world of discovery, and these amazing little architects are building it right in front of our eyes.